Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcast Network.
This is Justin Watry, and it is going to be a one-on-one match this week. No Holly, unfortunately.
Aww.
Oh, it's too bad. But
conspicuous by her absence.
Yes, a little conspiracy theory there. But besides that, we got myself, Justin Watry, and Mr. Steve Madsen.
Hey, we're back in the lab doing it up.
How was your week?
It was good. It was nice to have Monday off, take a little break, work on a little music. It was good time.
And a whole lot of wrestling.
Yeah.
Luckily for our listeners, we will not be talking much WWE wrestling. What do you think? We're going to jump right into... there was a show Saturday night, I believe.
There was something on Saturday. Oh, let's give a moment of silence for the Bucks. All right. So, yeah, AEW kicking it off, man. What do you think? I mean, they...
Sold out show in Vegas.
To me, it was double or nothing, and to me, it was a lot about setting precedents. What are we going to see in the future? What kind of format are we going to see?
Yeah, I think it was one of those where you have to get off on the right foot.
Absolutely.
And I know there was the show last year, but I guess that didn't technically count.
Right. That was a Cody Young Bucks production. That was to say, hey, we can do this.
Yeah, and that was kind of like all the super indies coming together.
Yep.
So this is kind of more of what we're going to get with the product.
Right.
So once the company was announced a few months ago, it's like, this is All Elite Wrestling. To be upfront, I did not order the show. I did not see it, but you did.
I did. You know what? I thought about it, and I was like, I think I'm going to support these guys, and I threw down the $50 and ordered it on pay-per-view.
That is awesome. I'm all for supporting anybody and any cause as long as you're supporting it, obviously, with the money and not, stealing or backhanded or bootleg merchandise or anything like that.
Nope, no internet torrent for me.
No. So I know you watched it. You took some notes, so I'm going to kind of follow your lead here. If there's anything you wanted to start off right off the bat with what you thought.
Well, let's start off with, like I said, it's setting precedents. So we got, your broadcast team. That's the first and foremost thing that you see. And we got Jim Ross and Excalibur. Now, do you know about Excalibur? Because I was about to look him up, and I just keep forgetting.
No, I just know that everyone says he's really good.
Yeah, he wears a mask, so he's from the Lucha tradition, apparently, and is very tied to his mask because he wears it in the broadcast booth.
Okay.
Mad respect or whatnot. Jim Ross. You can't go wrong. And one thing that I thought was really cool was that Excalibur throughout the night was doing a lot more of the play-by-play, which I'm used to hearing Jim Ross do more of. And Jim Ross was actually more on the color side. Really dug it. It was really nice. I mean, he was doing play-by-play as well, but he was more adding the tougher than a $2 steak and, that kind of, like the little...
Scald the dog.
Right, whereas Excalibur was really on top of giving us the moves, what they saw, the names and stuff like that.
I almost wonder if that's by design or if that's going to be a permanent thing.
Well, that's a question. I know Jim Ross said that he wasn't down with, doing something every single week and
No, I don't think he will be every single week.
He was more looking forward to doing more of the backstage and giving his input on what, he thought of as for the matches and stuff like that. He was really, from what I read, he was looking forward to taking that kind of a backstage role. And then, of course, there was a third in the broadcast booth. His name was Alex Marvez, and I don't know the guy personally, but his on-screen persona sucked, man. He just sucked the life out of the booth.
That was a similar sentiment around that.
There was a character or an actor on Saturday Night Live named Horatio Sands who always had the "you're a great guy" type attitude, or not attitude, but that was his character that
persona?
He played. Yeah, that was his persona, and every time he was cast in something, it was to be the supporting "way to go, Jimmy Fallon," or this "you're great, Dave," or that kind of thing. And that's what this Alex Marvez guy reminded me of. Just sucked the life out of the broadcast booth with his and all respect to Horatio Sands. Dude is a funny guy, but that was the character that he played. It kind of was
that was just a role.
Go watch Cowbell if you don't know what I'm talking about. So
I think this is kind of a mini thing of kind of like a mini test for them if they're now getting all this feedback.
Right.
Are they going to respond, or are they going to obviously say, well, no, we have this guy under contract and that's the deal and we're buddies with him? Because, again, this is kind of a buddy network.
Right. That's
with
what
everybody.
brought it all together.
Yeah, so, are they going to take this now and be like, well, maybe you should move backstage, or are they just going to stick to their guns and say no?
Or maybe they coach them a little bit. Maybe we actually get to see somebody improve and actually benefit from what they learn. I mean, I'm not saying the guy is a lost cause, but for this particular broadcast, I was like, just just be quiet.
Yeah, and I think this is part of the the growing pains, you know.
Right, exactly.
Experimental shows like, okay, you can take from this now, and what can you learn to make the next show better? So.
And there were some, little shoddy like camera glitches and stuff like that. You could definitely tell it was a first show, but as first shows go, it was damn impressive.
Okay.
One thing I thought was also cool is they started really emphasizing every match had a time limit. I think it goes back to when they did All In. They really didn't emphasize time limits too much, or maybe they didn't communicate it, and there was one match that went way too long, and the main event of All In ended up only being like 5 minutes long, and it was a 6-man tag full of luchadors, high flyers, Japanese specialists, all this stuff, and you could hear the referee being like, dude, we got 30 seconds. Dude, we gotta go home now. We gotta end. We gotta do this. And they didn't even get to, they didn't get to televise their end speech about doing another All In because they got cut off for the broadcast. So I think they learned from that, definitely, and they started telling, okay, you got a 30-minute time limit. That's your thing. And,
was it 30 minutes?
Yep, it was 30 minutes, except the Young Bucks got an hour.
Oh,
and
of course.
I think, but they didn't use it all.
No.
And I think Jericho and Omega might have gotten an hour too. I don't remember that one specifically.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily just say the title matches get an hour, or the main event gets an hour.
Right, and that was really cool. And then another thing I noticed is that we got Pyro back. Oh,
Pyro.
There were booms and blasts and everything from the get-go. It was refreshing to see some Pyro again.
I think it was Cody or somebody had joked that even at their Jacksonville rally, I want to say it was a few months ago. Sure, let's just say it was a few months ago.
Yep.
But the Jacksonville rally, he spent like $50,000 on the fireworks. It's just like, oh, here we go with the spending.
I mean,
if you have it, I guess.
If you want to make an impression, right? If you can afford it, go for it. So then, after all that, then we got kicked off with the buy-in pre-show. And it was a lot of yapping and recapping of what we were going to see that evening.
It's a pre-show.
But the main event for me on that was the Battle Royale.
Yes.
That was killer. I thought that the way they introduced, how they had the groups come out, that was a little weird. I mean, the first group to come out after the first group was already in the ring. I don't know if there was a timing thing or whatever, but it was like, we got this. They were by suits of cards. And then, so you had 5 guys come out for each suit. So there's 20, and then you got the Joker, who's the surprise.
That makes
sense. And then there was
sense.
another surprise, but I'll get to that.
Whoa.
So when the Diamonds came out, they were first. You had, I think, the clubs in the ring at first, and then when the Diamonds came out, they're like, "Here come the Diamonds," and then it's like, nobody's coming out. And then finally you got Joey Janela and Jimmy Havoc and all that, and they came out. It was really cool. Some legends from the independent scene was like the first group. Basically, MJF was in the very first group out there, and he made quite an impact being the jerk that he is.
Yes.
But the Battle Royale was really cool because they had some legends. You got Tommy Dreamer and Billy Gunn in there. But then you had some characters. I'm really... Glacier was there. You got some legends, like I said. But what I was really impressed is to kind of see how are these characters going to play in the AEW long term. So we got Luchasaurus. This dude, man, when I first saw him, I'm like, come on, really? Guys dressing up like a lizard type thing. And then you see him go, and this dude he's got a big old spinning hook kick that he calls the tail whip.
I've seen that.
That guy is I like him a lot. And he was Judas in NXT. Now, I don't know who that was.
No, I know him, from that, and then also he was on a Big Brother season.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I don't know what he looks like because I haven't gotten that far, but I like the Luchasaurus character.
He actually reminds me a little bit of you, of how he looks, so...
That's scary.
That's what No, it's not scary.
So then we also have this big dude, looked like a sumo wrestler, almost could have mistaken him for Yokozuna. We got AC Romero, and he was doing the traditional big guy stuff, but then he does this suicide dive to the outside, and this guy's got to be creeping up on 400 pounds. I mean, Whoa. He's a big dude. And he was getting attacked and beat up on, not really, but by the two of the smallest guys, Jungle Boy and this other dude, Stunt, I think was his last name. Marco Stunt, yeah.
And he was jumping over the top rope?
Just jumping around everywhere. It was hilarious. Plus, one other thing that was interesting is we had a guy with no legs in the Battle Royal.
Okay.
And it was kind of like the Zach Gowen idea, except both legs were gone.
So was he eliminated?
Eventually, but he did have a show. He did do a 619. I mean, it was kind of cool to see them include these kind of people, but you knew from the get-go that he wasn't going home with the win.
No.
But, I mean, a lot of heart, and he did show, for what he can do, he's got a lot of talent. So that was kind of cool.
All right.
Then you got this guy, Sunny Days. He was this big, almost Bray Wyatt kind of character. He made an impact. MJF, like I mentioned, he's going to be your typical heel that's going to come out and be like, I'm better than you no matter what you say.
Yeah, I think he showed up a little bit later, correct?
Well, he was he was started off, and then he did show up later when they were presenting the world title.
Yes.
And so, we went through the whole thing, and the Joker, of course, was Adam Page, and Adam Page was, he's the golden boy now. It definitely looks like he's going to be the guy in the forefront and quite possibly the very first AEW world title holder, depending on how that goes, because he did win the match. But then they did have a surprise 22nd entrant.
Really?
There's this dude named Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
And the first word I heard to describe him on the broadcast was sloth. So he shows up, and he's got his hands in his pockets, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. And he does these really lackadaisical kicks to Tommy Dreamer, just tapping him on the knee,
All right.
tapping him. And so then Tommy Dreamer clotheslines him, and he falls back, his hands still in his pockets, and kips up.
Whoa.
Super athletically. And he's got a decent body. He definitely works out and trains, but he just didn't care. And so then Tommy Dreamer grabs him by the back of the neck and throws him out. He lands on his butt or whatever, gets up, and he's like, all right. And then he walks out. And I saw a clip on Botchamania of him out there, and he went out and he was in a tag match, and he gets tagged in, goes out there, some dude chops him, he turns around, tags out. He's like, I'm done.
All right.
And so I mean, it was funny. It was nice to see a little bit of comedy. It's nice to see the legends. It's nice to see brand new talent. It was really, really cool. And like I said, Adam Page going home with the win.
Yeah, I'm glad they eventually did get down to, I guess, some serious business. And I mentioned this last week, but Hangman Page was that's their guy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of who they're going to be revolving around. So, not too surprising as little as I know about all this, but everything so far has been keep an eye on that guy. Keep an eye on that guy.
Right.
So,
and I could tell when I was watching Ring of Honor and a little bit of New Japan, they definitely, when he was doing the Bullet Club, he was the workhorse of those the stable.
that's good.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really good to see him get his due too, especially after all the little drama and stuff that was going on. And they're like, I wonder if that was the original plan, the winner of the Pac Adam Page match was gonna face Jericho and Omega, or if there was always gonna be the Battle Royal.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Interesting theory.
So then the pre-show progressed, and we had Sammy Guevara versus Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian's this Irish independent wrestler.
Okay.
Sammy Guevara came from AAA. When he was introduced and announced that he was going to be at All In, he was actually a cruiserweight champion of AAA, I believe. Ended up losing that, obviously, because he's signed to a main character. But Sammy Guevara is another I'm better than you type character, but he plays it off in a more of, whereas as MJF kind of wears a scarf and stuff like that, Sammy Guevara is just I'm too good for this. I'm too talented to be stuck in this match or whatever it is. It was really good, though, because they both are incredibly skilled, and they did have an incredible showcase, and the winner was Kip Sabian. Great match, though. It was a fantastic match. A lot of high-flying, crazy moves.
Is he also signed? I would think Sammy would have won. Okay.
Yes. I believe Kip Sabian is signed. They were definitely talking how happy they were to be having him on, because Ireland was... If anybody was staying up in Ireland, it was airing on pay-per-view in Ireland.
Yeah, and that mentions as much as we know the people signed now and the bigger names, for a lot of these people, this may have been a tryout.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So they had to bring it and quote unquote go all in too. So they had to impress everybody. Maybe they were having a contract on the line.
That could be. You never know. I mean, these are showcases for these guys.
Yeah, they may not get this opportunity again.
Right. So the main show starts, and as the crane camera is panning through the crowd, we see Noelle Foley.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man, what is she doing there?
Is the clown next to her?
No, the dumb clown was not next to her. I can't stand that
Dumb
dude.
clown. Wow,
Dumb
I didn't say
clown.
that.
I said it. I'll own that one. Frank the clown is a moron.
Whoa! I mean, we all think it, but you don't say it.
I say it.
Well,
What's he gonna do?
She was alone. Well,
I looked. I mean, no, there was people around her. Obviously,
was her dad around?
did not see him, but you never know. I mean, there was a lot of people you didn't see.
Mick Foley already announced for the next Starcast, whatever the next thing in August, I think. Yeah, that weekend again for All Out.
Well,
he's already been announced.
All Out.
So maybe his speech about the 24/7 title, and he thought, screw that, and
right.
already jumped
Yeah, kind of done.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again.
You know, they tried.
So I think this was on still the buy-in pre-show. I could be wrong, but what did you think of the Elite coming out and, thanking everyone and then saying the attendance numbers?
Oh, that was right at the beginning of the main show.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. I thought, right. I like this. It's cool to see the interaction between Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and Cody, because they're all, executive vice presidents. So they are they're the Eric Bischoff role, where they are in charge and they are running the show.
Yeah.
This is their show. This is their production. And it was nice to see that kind of chemistry between them, how they, were tearing the mic back and forth. And
yeah, they're all buddies, so it works.
And then Brandy Rhodes did mention that it was the very first sensory inclusive pro wrestling event. Now, what that means, I actually had to do a little bit of research, was a lot of autistic people do enjoy sporting events, but because of the lights and the noise, that tends to make it difficult for them. So they had special places around the arena where autistic people could go, calm down, and watch the match if they wanted to, watch the pay-per-view in a relaxed environment.
That is cool.
It's nice to see them kind of, like I said, it was a very diverse group of talent, and it looks like they were catering to a diverse group of audience as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of a devil's advocate point of view here. I thought it was funny about the attendance. Everybody
pumps the numbers.
Everybody pumps the numbers a little bit. But this was the first little shot that they took that, to me at least, can get a little tiresome of the little petty shots. But I thought it worked there. I thought it was funny. And I'm also glad that they all opened up the show. But right. I hope they do not do this every show.
I don't think they'll do it every show.
I mean, the company's already named after them. So I hope these four don't, open up every show. Welcome to, So for this one, it worked.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes moving forward. We did say setting precedents, so hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I get your point. Like an intro of that magnitude would be, a little odd.
We don't need it every show. This one, though, definitely, the first big kaboom, yeah.
I mean, even Vince, he was out every WrestleMania. Welcome to WrestleMania. And then after a while, he's like, okay.
Or the XFL. He came out for the debut.
Well, he'll be there for the next one.
Oh, maybe.
So then the main show progresses, and we got SCU, SoCal Uncensored, versus a Japanese contingent of, I guess they're from an organization called Orient Wrestling Experience.
Yeah, they have a partnership with AEW.
Yeah, right, and it's a contingent of wrestlers from Japan and China. And we haven't seen the China wrestlers in the States yet, but apparently they actually work with Kung Fu instructors, and that will be interesting because I'm a big Kung Fu fan. I actually took Kung Fu for a while when I lived in another area.
That'd be fun.
And that's some next level training, let me tell you. That is some serious, serious stuff. So to see how that translates over, I mean, there's a reason why they don't have Kung Fu competitions. It is meant to be one-hit disable type of martial arts.
Jeez.
It's meant for being attacked by multiple sides so that you can do one-hit kills and move on to your next guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how a Kung Fu expert takes to professional wrestling.
I think I'll pass on training for that.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's something else. But so Strong Hearts was actually a Japanese contingent, and one of them was a Japanese legend that has had some success here in the States on the indies. His name was Shima.
I know that name.
Yeah, awesome.
He has a match with Omega, I think.
Yes, at the next was it Fyter Fest, I believe?
Yeah, I can't think of the name.
Yeah, it's for to honor the gun violence.
Something
victims.
for the fallen. Fight for the fallen.
Fight for the fallen. Gun violence for Florida or something.
So
like
he's
that.
the biggest name of the group.
On this particular one he was. There was one unknown guy. Lindemann was, I think, his last name.
Lindemann?
Yes. And then there was another
T-Hawk.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you
I got
saving
it
me
up
there.
right here.
Awesome, though. You know what was really, really cool? Something that really took my attention was that whenever you see six-man tags in WWE, it's kind of a hodgepodge, and you get everybody's moves, and they do kind of a big thing. But in this case, I actually understood why there was a six-man title in Ring of Honor and what the point of six-man tag team matches are. There were some awesome triple team tandem moves, offensive. I mean, it was amazing. I'd never seen a dynamic between six wrestlers move so effortlessly. And, three of them didn't speak English. So, I mean, it's amazing how, like, you do these triple threats and these moves and stuff. You actually understand why there were six-man tags and three-man stables, to begin with. I mean, it was just amazing, and I loved it. And SCU went over, which I thought was a good way to start off because they are the veteran level. That it's showing what these guys can do and what level of talent we are going to bring, or they are going to bring. I shouldn't say we. I'm not affiliated with AEW.
I have like 3 quick points. I'm trying to remember all of them, and I already forgot one of them.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, I think there's not a lot of six-man tag titles. Is like how many groups are there? Like,
right.
You can only do so many. And then I was going to say, would you want to see six-man tag titles?
I wouldn't. Before Double or Nothing, I would say they're kind of pointless because I didn't see a lot of it in Ring of Honor. I know they have a six-man title. What's up?
I was gonna say, yeah, I put my finger up. I was gonna say, they talked about like not having a lot of titles,
right?
But then it's like, well, now I can see how awesome it is. Like now I want titles.
I mean, I don't know. That six-man tag was like SoCal Uncensored. They have a dynamic between the three of them, and they're all veteran, guys. I think Scorpio Sky is the youngest one of them at all, and he's probably got a decade under his belt or whatever. But he just awesome. I could see it. It's interesting. Like they got to have like a secondary title, and there's got to be a tag title.
Yeah, I know Daniels and Kazarian from their TNA Impact
right,
days. And
right.
Those guys don't seem to ever age.
No, they don't. I mean, Daniels has been going almost 20, 30 years.
I think they're like in their 50s or 60s, but obviously they're not.
But they're just killing it,
Yeah, I was just going to quick say, I remembered my third point. I think like the partnership with OWE, I think is the Oriental.
Right, yep.
I would assume it's just kind of, that training that you're talking about, and then like maybe they'd get a spot on each pay-per-view or something.
Right. And, kind of bring over some talent.
Yeah,
and,
that would make sense to me.
I mean, it was really cool, like just watching them move around and interact with each other. It was just really good match. I was taken the entire time. Like the whole show I was compelled. I was actually burned out by the end of it because I'm like, this was just so awesome from start to finish. Oh, my God.
This is amazing.
I mean, every match had something to take note of, which is why this is going to be a long, long podcast.
Yeah, but that's good. Each match should have their own kind of flavor or something. After a while, if it's just it's another match, another six-man,
right? Exactly.
Then, who cares?
So then we moved on to what was supposed to be a triple threat match. Wow, man. So they had a little bit of a backstage promo with this character that I took a shine to. She has kind of a Bailey act where her name is Smiley Kylie. But, man, when she gets in the ring and she can turn it on, she can go. And she's smiling the entire way, almost to a point where it's like, you really probably shouldn't be smiling right now. Like,
not so much.
You're about to get mollywopped, and you're just happy about it. So, so we got the Smiley Kylie Ray.
Okay.
And then we got Nyla Rose, who is actually one of the very few Native American women wrestler. She's from the Oneida tribe.
All right.
She's got definitely a presence about her, and I was excited to see more of that. And then you had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who I had seen an All In, and she killed it, and I was kind of excited for that too. And then Brandy comes out, and she looks like she's ready to wrestle, and it's like,
ooh,
okay,
perfect.
I could see that, whatever. But then she has a mic in her hand, and she says that the match doesn't need to be great. It needs to be awesome. So then comes Awesome Kong, formerly known as Karma in WWE. Man, that was the looks on everybody's face, the pop that she got. That was killer. So it turned into a fatal four-way. What was originally a triple threat is now a fatal four-way, and you got this legendary monster just waiting to tear through all of these women. And I'm assuming she's kind of up there in age as well.
Yes.
So she got to impose her will, but then she did kind of recede to the outskirts.
Her back and knees are not good.
Right, and you could tell that. So she did a little bit of stuff, and she made her impression felt, and then she kind of stayed off to the wayside and let the other three really go nuts.
I'm glad that Brandy used that word, and so did you. I thought that was an awesome surprise.
That was really cool.
She was in, or she is still in, Glow on Netflix, which has been getting nothing but rave reviews and awesome. And, well, there's the word again, awesome. I would say everyone watch it. It's Glow on Netflix. I think season 2 in 2018, I believe, Entertainment Weekly gave it Show of the Year.
Oh, wow.
And when you think of all the shows on Netflix and TV, it's pretty high standard that Glow would get it from Entertainment Weekly, which basically covers all that.
Everything, yeah.
So I thought it was very cool. I was when I saw that, I was a tad bit worried that she was going to win, and I was kind of afraid of, a lot of these legends kind of beating the newer, younger people. But
right.
Like you said, she got out of the way, and she had the surprise, and that was it.
Yeah, and she let the other talent show. Nyla Rose got the honor of basically giving the final move to Awesome Kong by spearing her on the outside. I really hope she didn't bang her head on the stairs. It looked like she could have.
I hope not.
But she delivered a thunderous spear, and all the moves that Nyla Rose did were thunderous. I mean, she's got kind of some stock to her, and she was impressive. It was very, very cool. And then Kylie Rae and Britt Baker just went at it for the most part in the ring. Just took it, and it was really cool because she does this little smile move. Like, she'll do a series of moves, and then she gives this big smile to the crowd. And it was, I don't know, it was just like compelling. It was really awesome to watch. But of course, Britt Baker went over. She won that one. I thought that was the right move. I think that she is going to kind of spearhead the women's division.
Yeah, like Hangman Page, like I was talking about last week. For the women, it's Britt Baker. She's
Absolutely
the one leading the charge, and you can't go wrong with that choice.
No, she's fantastic. It was a great match, and I loved every minute of it.
That's good.
So then we had a tag match.
Alrighty.
We got the best friends of Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, which love your shoes, by the way, against two guys. I'd never seen the best friends except for the announcement when Kenny Omega announced that he signed that little rally they held. So the first I'd ever seen of the best friends was Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta coming out saying they were going to be in the Battle Royale. And apparently they argued and talked their way into getting their own match. And they took on the team of Angelico, who I believe is a South African trained wrestler, similar to like what Adam Rose was. I don't know if they came from the same, but he was South African as well. And then Jack Evans, who is a guy that's maybe 180 pounds soaking wet, talks like he's 275, telling them that they have this to take on the greatest tag team ever, and just talk. He picks out somebody in the crowd and just, this is why I'm the best ever, and blah, 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 blah. And they brought it. It was a great match. I had never seen them before, so it was kind of cool to see this, bunch of unknowns that, to me, new to me type people, and they were killing it. Angelico and Jack Evans have a lot of, like, those agile, high-flying kind of, Angelico kind of brings the power of that group. Jack Evans brings the flying agility to that.
Yeah, I've seen, I think it was Angelico in Lucha Underground.
Okay, that makes sense.
I saw him there, and I thought he was just like the ridiculous moves he would do. And I saw season 1 of Lucha Underground, and I believe I saw the first few episodes of season 2, and then I kind of stopped caring because it kind of got a little too ridiculous for me. But I know he's good. He's the one I know. And then obviously Trent Beretta, I know he was in WWE. So
what did he do?
Not a whole lot.
I'm about to say, because I don't remember him there at all.
No, he was I think he was a dude buster. He was one of
Oh yeah, okay.
Don't ask.
So I really dug kind of the pure wrestling that was going on in this particular match, and really because they were unknown to me, they had to tell their story in the ring, and they really did it. Like, I was sold on this match from the get-go. I think what pulled me in at first was Angelico dressed in this like head to toe suit, or neck to toe suit. Like, he just bright colors and flashiness and all that. So I was like, all right, let's see what this guy does. And then all three of them just killed it. And it was, or all four men just killed it.
Yeah, he definitely stands out.
One thing that that I noticed was that they now have, when there's 2 tag members in the ring, they now have a 10 count to get out of the ring instead of the traditional 5, which is interesting because it lends itself to tag team wrestling and a lot more of the tandem moves that you love to see with tag team wrestling.
Yeah, my whole thing always with wrestling, everyone always says, well, it's just wrestling. Like, who cares what the rule is? My thing is always like, if you're going to make a rule, stick to it.
Right, hold the tag rope,
So, if it's 10 seconds, fine, it's 10 seconds.
Right,
but then you have to stick to it.
Right.
So...
And that was one thing that Jim Ross did point out is a lot of that is at the referee's discretion because, as we'll get to later, Omega and Jericho battled for a long time on the outside. But because of the caliber of the match, it wasn't allowed to go.
Yeah, I think New Japan also kind of, they
went with 20, don't they? Ring of Honor goes with 20.
They always say, the ref wants a winner, so if like a chair is involved, they'll just look the other way.
Yeah,
or something.
Exactly. That did happen.
I'm sure it did. But, I also get that part too. We want a winner. We don't want a DQ.
So the best friends, Beretta and Taylor, did go over and they won that one. And then the lights go out.
All right.
And when the lights come back on, there was a bunch of people. It sounded like the announcers didn't know what was going on. There was one dude that had some face paint and another dude in a mask. And they were all of a sudden in the ring. And then the lights go out again. And then when they come back up, there's like 5 or 6 masked folk all dressed kind of the same outside, like beating people up.
Was it Sabu?
No, there was nobody. Like I didn't know who they were, and the announcers didn't say who they were. They sounded as dumbfounded as I was. So that was a little weird. I don't know if we were supposed to be introduced to somebody, or if this was somebody we all should know because I didn't.
Okay, I think. Do you know who they are?
No, not a clue.
Okay, I did see this afterwards. I had no idea either, but I think it's a group called Super Smash Brothers, I think, or Super Smash Bros. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently they're, a group or whatever, and I think they're either signed or they're going to be coming in. And, they had been kind of out there, but apparently, quote-unquote, visa issues were going to prevent them. And they were just making that up to make it more of a surprise. But didn't the crowd chant, like, who are you? Or... Yeah,
that was the thing, is the crowd also didn't know who were, and there was masked people outside, and it was like, who are you? And it was like, yeah, who are they? And the announcers didn't say a word. It sounded like they were just and maybe they couldn't because maybe Super Smash Brothers is copyrighted off of a game.
Yeah, the later report then said they didn't say it because they're probably going to change their name.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense, but you got to give us something. I mean, not just, who are these people?
Who are they?
Was
that Alex Marvez who said that?
Yes.
Was it?
It was. I mean, all 3 of them did, but Alex Marvez, he actually kind of I couldn't tell. I just knew, like, to tune him out, I guess.
Good idea.
As best I could. So then we moved on, and there was a 6-man tag match. I actually only knew one participant in this one from the little bit of TNA, and maybe I think she might have had a very brief stint in early WWE women's wrestling. It was Team Shida, that composed of a Japanese contingent of female wrestlers named Ryo Mizunami, and Hikaru Shida. Each of them had their own distinct character. It was very cool to watch as they did it. And then they were taking on Team Aja Kong, where you had Yuka Sakazaki, who they called like something girl, the wonderful girl or something like that, spectacular girl or something like that. And she was a high flyer, came out in kind of like pirate pants. It was a very cool character in like bright colors and stuff. And then we had Emi Sakura, who came out dressed like Freddie Mercury.
Nice.
And then the legendary Aja Kong, who she had matches with Bull Nakano and I believe Alundra Blaze. So we're talking like that level. So it was interesting to see a legend presence. And then there was, again, a lot of really awesome tandem offense, triple teams. The ladies killed it again, like they always do. It was really, really good to watch.
Well, that's good, because there was actually a story that this match was going to get bumped off the show.
Yeah, the timekeeper botched the bell ringing. The refs, now it was not, it looked like the ref's hand might have come down, because she was blocked from the timekeeper, but then the timekeeper, I think, needs to get it in his head, wait for the ref to give you the signal.
Yeah, there
before
should
you
always
just go
be
and
like
ring the
that
bell.
second or two delay anyways.
Agreed.
Not
But,
just pin count and then ring the bell.
So I think there was a little growing pains mistake right there. One
That's
thing that
okay.
I did notice, and it started actually at the beginning of the show, they do have a full-time female referee, and she was doing stuff, men's matches and women's matches. So that was kind of cool that they're allowing, gender is not a issue for who does what.
Yeah.
Team Shida, the team taking on Aja Kong, they won. It was like I said, very good match. And it was just really awesome.
Well, that is very good. I'm glad the women are getting something outside of Britt Baker, who's probably going
Right.
to win everything.
Eventually, absolutely. So now here we kind of get into the main event style of the card. Here we have the very first big name match of the evening was the American Night. Now I'm going to say this because I think the way I'm saying it kind of tells the story in itself. You have the American Nightmare Cody with Brandy Rhodes versus the Natural Dustin Rhodes. And so the reason why I say that is, number one, it's cool that they brought back the Natural nickname for Dustin Rhodes. That's what he was in WCW, and it was cool to see kind of the half and half face paint, half unpainted, half
Yeah, I really liked his look.
tortured. It was really awesome. And then the reason why I said the American Nightmare Cody with Brandy Rhodes is because it was obvious that they were trying to get the Rhodes name in there for Cody. And since WWE doesn't own Brandy Rhodes, but they do own Cody Rhodes, they did what they could to sneak that in there. And then the American Nightmare, just the Nightmare versus the Natural. It was just the storyline was compelling. I had goosebumps. I thought it was really cool how they brought up, Dusty, and there was a big honor to Dusty.
I saw the pre-match. They started chanting Dusty even before the match even started.
So we get our entrances.
Oh,
and the first guy to come out is Cody.
I know this.
Shots fired, man. I think that they're dead set on going to war. I don't know if this is the best course of action, but he burned that bridge. They
had their Lex Luger moment later on in this show.
That's true.
And I will quick say I like the American Nightmare, obviously a play on the American Dream.
Right.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, that was.
So did you like the entrance?
I
from
did.
Cody?
I thought there was a big ooh, and then I had to pause it, and I had to go get my wife. I'm like, honey, we gotta watch this, and she's like, "What's the throne for?" And I was like, she actually caught on to it a little bit before I did. I didn't know exactly what was going on until I saw the sledgehammer, and I'm like, oh, it was
there
one of those. There it was. So it was definitely, we're taking you head on. Here we go.
Yep.
And I think that, my personal opinion, I think Triple H is the kind to be like, okay, here we go. Let's see what you got. But
he was asked about it today in a conference call.
Yeah.
And pretty much said he's not worried about that. He's worried about NXT TakeOver.
Absolutely. And, I don't think Triple H can really do anything. It's, because he's got to go through Vince. So I think once Vince retires, maybe that's when it'll really heat up.
I'm going to guess, he just kind of shrugged and kind of smirked and was like,
he was probably honored, actually. He's like, you're giving me time on your show. All right.
He'll probably be like, yeah, I'll text him later.
Or maybe that's what the AEW reference the next night or on Monday Night Raw was for. Okay, you gave us a little publicity. We'll give you a little bit. Scratch.
Yeah, he was also asked about during their Hall of Fame speech when they...
Oh, the Pissant Company.
And he just said...
What a good line.
He just said because Billy was there, DX in their nature would address the elephant in the room.
Right.
So that's why they mentioned it. So...
Let's not get it twisted. Vince will buy that little pissant company just to fire you again.
So kind of like before, you know what? Fine. It was clever, the throne, and he destroyed it with the sledgehammer.
Right.
But again, if every show is going to be...
It's not. It's the first one.
I know. TNA, though.
Let them get it out.
TNA for years, just every show would rip on and be like, well, we don't do that on our show. Like if they did something on Raw that Thursday, they'd be like, well, that's not how we do things here. And
I think
every show.
I think the current direction of the talent and the people in charge have kind of learned from that. I think I have faith that this is just coming out with like a blaze of glory. I think,
and that's fine. They should.
Yeah, and I think as it comes down, we're going to see less of the shots, and it's more going to be like, this is what we had to offer.
Yeah.
Boom, here you go.
This is the show.
So it had a big match feel. I mean, they had the big entrance. They had the big stuff. It was really awesome. I was really excited. And then they get in the ring, and they got the Dusty chants going. I'm not crying, you're crying. It was awesome. And there was a big reception for both Cody and Dustin. Really awesome to, the respect that the talent was being showed. Dustin still got it, man. Dude,
He still does
another one. He looks like hell. Looks like he's been through hell. But, man, he can go. Still can go. And, well, first off, before we get into that.
His face?
Baby Earl Hebner, man. He's back in the ring. He was wearing an AEW referee shirt. Mr. You Screwed Brett.
They're all there.
All there. It was good to see. That's what kind of gave the old school flavor, kind of just the feel. There was, the outside interference, you're getting ejected, then DDP makes his way out to take
DDP
Brandy Rhodes.
shows up.
But man, now was that an intentional blade job or what?
Yeah, it was.
My God.
And you said earlier his face was half and half. Well,
and then it was all one.
It was all red real quick.
We brought the Crimson Mask back.
Yeah, I think that was also maybe a little, not jab, but almost them saying, yeah, we're going to have blading.
We're going to do this. It was hard to watch at times.
It looked pretty bad.
He was dripping. It like, dude, did you puncture an art? I'm sitting there waiting for him to start wobbling and it was bad.
And that's Dustin, old school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's going to do it.
Now, and I watched All In. I bought All In also, and Cody bladed himself in his Nick Aldis match too. So is this going to be a continuing thing that we're going to see in every big Cody match?
I don't know. Some people think he does kind of need the bells and whistles to get not get over, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't think he needs to blade him or get it cut every single match. It adds something to it, but you do it over and over again. After a while, we got WrestleMania 7, Hulk did it because he quote unquote got hit with the bell. It was crappy. He clotted up in 5 seconds. There was very little blood.
I think it was Eric Bischoff who said, if you need to resort to cutting your forehead during a match, you probably went wrong way before then.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we all love a good bloodbath during the ring and stuff. But if you have to resort to that to get a reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, I hope to see less of it in the future, and only brought out for maybe very special occasions.
Yeah, and that's fine. Right, I would agree with that.
So yeah, and then of course Cody wins as it should be.
Yep.
But my God, what a match! Hard to watch at times.
I have seen a lot of ratings for this thing.
Put you through the ringer, the emotional ringer, and then what we found out later is that was not the end for Dustin Rhodes. He's coming back for a tag team match to take on the Young Bucks with Cody.
Which makes sense.
It'll be good. Give him one more if he can go. And that was something that Dustin did not know before Cody made the announcement. Dustin was going into it thinking it was his last one.
I like that. Two things. I like already that it seems Cody's going to be far away from the title picture.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
Again,
he'll get it at some point, but just for the accolade.
But I like that, he's staying away from it. He's, again, well aware of everything about how he's running the company. He doesn't want to fall into that trap.
Right.
And, I didn't necessarily think Dustin was retiring, but I think we both agreed he was going to be more backstage.
Right, absolutely.
So if he is going to be in a random match here and there, him carrying half the load, so in a tag team match, makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, as great as the match apparently was, again, I didn't watch the pay-per-view, but as great as it was, you're not going to expect that from him.
Yeah, not every time.
Obviously, a special circumstance for Dusty and the whole story.
Right.
So if everyone's thinking, well, Dustin can do this and he's back at 50,
no. I think he'll stay backstage until he needs to come out.
Right, and the tag match, fits. It's fine.
Yeah, it definitely, and they need to do that because, like you said, Dusty's looking down on him, and he's proud.
Oh yeah.
So then we finally get to see the AEW World Title, and who do they bring out to? Now I was blown away by this. Who do they bring out to present it? None other than the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Mr. Bret the Hitman Hart, and they had a very nice mock-up of his theme song. Wasn't exactly the same thing, but
cheap knockoff.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was cheap because it was
probably
well
not
done.
cheap.
It was very well done.
Yeah, I was waiting for, they had teased, there was an interview with somebody, I can't remember his name, it's Chris Van, somebody, he does a lot of cool interviews.
Okay.
He had interviewed Cody, and yeah, they said the title was going to be there, they're going to reveal
Right.
it and stuff. And in my head, I didn't think Bret Hart, but I thought, well, everyone's in town for the weekend events.
Right.
So in my head, I was thinking, who are they going to bring out? And the rumor was shot down, but the rumor was it was going to be Ric Flair, actually.
It was going to be Ric Flair,
but
his
you know,
health
his health,
issues. Yep.
and I think they said it wasn't. It was all along going to be Bret. I'm not sure I buy that, but either way, yeah, very cool that Bret Hart showed up.
Yeah, and gorgeous belt. It looks damn expensive, as Cody had said. I like the little thing he threw up the next day or later that night where he's like, well, because one of the executive vice presidents, me, forgot to have it professionally photographed. He put up a video of it, got you a closer look at it. Looks awesome. It looked heavy. It looked like the guy holding the belt could barely grab onto it.
Yeah, I think Bret didn't face the hard camera, so they never did get it.
The first, well, he did eventually. He did turn eventually, but yeah, for the first, like, God, what felt like forever, but it was probably only 10, 15 seconds. He was facing the entranceway. It's like, Bret,
Yeah.
come on, look for the light, man. There's a red light that tells you
There's
where to go.
a red light. Okay.
And during the presentation, we got to see a lot of more characters and how they're going to be doing promo stuff. MJF is definitely going to be your annoying, I'm better than you, and you know that promo guy. But then we got to see a little spot with Jungle Boy, Luke Perry's son, Hangman Adam Page, and Jimmy Havoc got a little spot. It was an odd unveiling, growing pains again, and how we're doing, but the belt looks awesome, and everybody got to have a little spot. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they had to get a little spot in there. I'm not sure, you know, Bret could have came out and then revealed the title and, like, just walked away.
Right. I mean, what would that have done? You know, it would have almost degraded the whole moment of even bringing him out
It had
there.
to lead to something, and I'm glad that, you know, you start out with the legend and then you bring in the actual roster.
Right,
guys.
exactly, and they get to shine.
Yeah.
So then shortly after that, we move on to the AAA tag team, or AAA, as they intended to call it every single time they had to mention it.
Is that how it's said?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, I
Whatever.
took Spanish, but we never got into double, triple.
I never took Spanish.
Yeah. But I know is A. But anyways, so
Okay.
it was their tag team title
Hey, that's
match.
more than I know.
And it was the Lucha Brothers of Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. They were calling him Pentagon Jr. He's Penta El Cerro M, wherever else he goes or whatever it is, versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. Wow.
Wow.
Number one, I really like this Pentagon guy. I really like his, the Cerro Mierda.
Is he the guy that TNA made world champ for like a month?
Possibly. I know he did have a run in. In fact, I think he was Pentagon in TNA.
Okay.
But yeah, he very well. But I mean, the crowd was behind him the whole time, and like, you know, he gets up in somebody's face and he's like, "Listen, puta," and then he does his sign. The whole crowd behind him. Just was awesome presentation. Rey Fenix was killing it. The Young Bucks. You know, it was interesting because they made it known that the Young Bucks only had 2 matches this year, whereas the Lucha Brothers have had 20, 30 tag matches this year. So, you know, they've been going full on.
Probably a lot.
And there was visible ring rust. I don't know if that was intended or if that's just the way that the story that they were telling or if they really had it. But there was definitely some miscommunication. There was interesting. But it did nice showcase of tag team wrestling. Classic tag team wrestling. I mean, the tandem moves, the tandem offense, the storytelling of having 4 guys in there, giving it their all for the only title match on the card. I honestly could not take notes during this match because there was just so much going on. But I'll say the one thing coming out is I'm sold on Pentagon. That guy is awesome.
Yeah, the Luchas, I would almost say more than the Young I call them the Luchas.
Yeah.
Probably more than the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega. You're not going to believe this, but the Luchas were probably, I would say, more sought after. WWE wants them bad, and I would almost say more than probably the bigger names that I just said.
Right.
So, yeah, you also mentioned Young Bucks. They had, purposely kind of taken a little time to breathe and kind of gear up for this run.
Well, they wanted to heal up, and then, they were getting this AEW thing going.
And, yeah, you said it. Tag team, that's going to be a big thing in AEW, and wouldn't be surprising if Young Bucks versus Cody and Dustin is the main event of the
I could see that.
next show.
I could also see being... I know that they're going to have a AAA tag team rematch in Fyter Fest, I believe.
Okay.
I don't remember. They're going to rematch it, or no, at some point down the line.
And it'd probably be amazing just like this. So.
Yeah, exactly. So then, we moved on. Young Bucks went over.
Makes sense.
They won. I thought it made sense that I was wrong. If you remember my last week prediction, I thought that the Lucha Brothers were going to take the titles back to AAA, but I was okay with it because, again, it was a fantastic match, and that's really all it was in for.
Well, Young Bucks and Cody run the company. Who'd you think was going to win?
I thought the Lucha Brothers were going to take it for almost for that exact reason.
I'm not taking a shot at them.
Yeah, you are. You always do.
Oh boy.
So then after that, we had the singles match for championship opportunity, which was our main event for the evening. And that was Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. Now, Cracker Barrel in the ring?
Sponsor.
Yeah, but Cracker Barrel in the ring? Really? And then they couldn't get it out of the ring?
Gotta do what you gotta do to
Jericho
pay the bills.
Gets fed up and he pushes it through. He's like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Killer entrance for Jericho. He kind of showed off all of his personas.
I saw that. I liked it. I think it was Cody's idea. And
using the Judas in My Mind or whatnot from Fozzy, killer song. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. I would love to meet Chris Jericho just to pick his brain about music because that dude, he can sing, man. I really dig the stuff that I've heard of Fozzy lately.
Yeah, Fozzy played at, was it Rave or somewhere a while ago?
Not too long ago. I didn't get to see him. I have a hard time getting out to concerts these days because I'm old. But
You're not old.
I'm old. But anyway, so Jericho and Omega, man, classic match, of course, with all the hits. I mean, you had I think the only big move we didn't see was the one-winged angel, probably because they're protecting that. But, you saw the V-trigger, you saw the
Wasn't that
code breaker.
Reversed into a DDT type thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Sort of.
Yeah.
As JR called it the ugliest DDT or whatever.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. That was. And then they go and do it again.
Yeah.
We're going to do it right this time. But, all the hits. It was awesome. You got to see all the great stuff from Jericho. Great stuff from Omega. And Jericho goes over using his brand new Judas Effect elbow that was rumored. Was it real? Was it not? Is it a thing?
Yeah.
Sure enough, they protected that one. And the minute he hits it, that was it. I thought that Omega was going to take this one, because I thought that Omega and Page would have been a great world title match, and Omega being, the VP and all that stuff. But I was wrong, but I'm okay with that, because I think Page and Jericho are going to be an absolutely fantastic world title match. That's going to be ridiculously good.
That'll be very good, and, I'll mention this after we get to the post-match.
Yeah, because, we're sitting there watching it, and we got a celebration, and somebody starts making their way through the crowd.
Scott Hall.
Almost. No, none other than... I'm sorry. Jon Moxley! And it was funny on their... Oh, hey, Charlie. We got the dog next door making noise.
Sweet.
As that segment... progressed, I was wondering when those poker chips were going to get used. I knew they weren't just going to sit there.
I love the set, by the way.
The set was awesome. Yeah,
obviously fit the theme, and it was cool.
But big surprise, or was it really? Jon Moxley makes his debut with AEW. Apparently, he's got a special deal worked out where he can do some New Japan stuff and do some independent stuff and be a full-time AEW guy. Apparently, he says he's the happiest he's ever been. He found his love for professional wrestling again. And we got Jon Moxley versus... What's the next one coming up? I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, Joey Janela.
Joey Janela. Yep, that's coming up at the next
Fighter
event.
Fest.
Fighter Fest, yep. Which, go ahead and kick Joey Janela in the face, because that lit cigarette during the Battle Royale was just stupid. He wrestled like 5 minutes with a lit cigarette stuck to his forehead. Like, why, dude?
Yeah.
What's
Some people
the
like
point?
that stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I really don't.
Never been a fan.
No. All right, so what did you think of the match? Was it better than the original Omega Jericho?
I did not see the original Omega Jericho, but I thought the match itself was fantastic. Like I said, I got to see all the hits of these two great performers. They just went at it, and I was sold 100% from start to finish. Like, go, 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 go. And then they build it up to the post match, which was awesome. It was just awesome. I had a blast.
Yeah, it's funny. A guy came into work by me the other day on Saturday wearing an AEW shirt.
Oh.
And he was like, I'm like, oh man, you're going to watch tonight? He's like, unfortunately, because of this one, and he was pointing at his girlfriend.
Oh.
Unfortunately, because of this one, we have plans tonight. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, all right, well, just tell me who you're rooting for. And then he said, I think he said Omega, Dustin because he's an Attitude Era fan, and then somebody else. And I was just like, sorry, buddy, I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like Jericho's winning, Cody's winning, and I think it was Young Bucks or somebody else, but it was just kind of funny. And yeah, Jericho, we talked about this last week. I had Jericho only because of the WCW connection to Turner and because he's the bigger name.
Right.
And Hangman Page is going to need a heel to beat.
Exactly. In hindsight, it all makes sense. The heel, the connection, the big star, in the main match for the world title.
Yep.
It's going to make that win for Adam Page so much more. I beat Jericho for this first ever title.
Yeah, and Jericho's going to, run his heel mouth for the next
of course.
few. Twitter,
he's the best in the world at what he does.
He's going to say, who's Hangman Page? I'm Jericho.
Right.
I'm all this, and this.
I mean, he was doing that already at the beginning, but he was like, AEW needs me to win. They should want me to win this match.
Yep. So it'll all make sense in the end. And I wrote 2 columns on 411mania.com, so you can check those out. Cheap plug. I wrote about all it there, but if you look at the 3 major feuds right now, it's Jericho, Hangman Page. It's a veteran versus somebody they want to build up.
Right.
And then it's Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Again, somebody they want to build up, and they're using the name value of Jon Moxley.
That was exciting.
And then it's Dustin and Cody, again, the name value from WWE, and the Young Bucks.
Right.
So it's veteran, newcomer, they're using one side of it and then building up the other.
Right.
Which is how it should be.
Exactly. That's exactly how it should be. I think they did this pay-per-view so well. It came in at 4 hours, 48 minutes with the pre-show.
Yes, this one they ended early.
Yep. I mean, well,
not running late like last time.
Yeah, exactly.
So they ended it early. I'm glad they did that. They also have said no, not all of our shows are going to be this long. So they'll cut down to either 3 or 4, which is obviously a good thing. But again, for this one time, yes, you wanted everything on, all the 6-man tags, every single thing possible to make it as big as possible. And obviously, once Jericho grabbed the microphone, you obviously knew somebody was coming out.
Right.
They're not going to end it with a Jericho promo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew there was going to be some surprise at the end. It was just a matter of what, was it going to be Punk? Was it going to be... No,
and by the way, last week, I did slip of the tongue. I did not mean to say Punk.
I know you didn't.
I said that right when I got in the car. I'm like, I hope he doesn't buy this, but I swear I did not mean to say that.
I know you didn't.
And Punk was actually doing commentary at a different show already.
Right. Yeah, they knew it was already foregone that he wasn't. He was doing some mixed martial art.
Not to bring Punk into it because it's not fair to the guys on the show, but he would be closer to the TNT debut if anything.
Yeah.
Doing it now doesn't make too much sense.
He got so much star power already.
Yeah, and what do you think of Moxley? Do you want to talk about him a little bit?
I thought he was definitely edgy. He looked healthy, like just refreshed. Like it was good to see him. It was good to see him in a brand new setting, not from the same old WWE setting. I'm excited for what he's going to offer, and I think it's going to be really cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is kind of the diehard audience. Obviously they're playing to the niche crowd, but the crowd went nuts for him.
Right. Oh,
I know that's his audience and all that.
Right.
But everybody loved it. I thought it was great. He just took out. I think he took out the ref too.
No, he took everybody. Yeah, everybody got it.
Yeah, everybody got it. He stood tall. Is the perfect. They needed something at the end there. Jericho winning, wasn't going to do much.
Right. You got to send the crown home happy.
They needed to keep the buzz going now, and we talked about that because now it's another month and a half.
Right.
So they needed to get something, and then I'm sure at that show they'll do something, and then that'll lead into All Out.
Build, and
then they'll get to their TNT, and then that's when we're finally going to get to something. And I was asked this, and I wrote about this on 411 Mania, and I'll ask you, what did we learn after Saturday night about AEW?
We learned that they're not afraid to take chances, that there is a lot of talent that is to be had, and there's a lot of people that get a chance to showcase what they can offer. There's going to be a lot of unexpected and awesome pairings of matches. They have the flag, and they're going to run with it. I think that they need to get down their production a little bit better. There was a couple little choppy cuts and camera works and stuff like that, and a little bit of mistimed entrances or this, that, and the other thing. So I think they need to work on their little they need to polish it. But overall, I think we're going to see something awesome.
Okay, my answer of what we learned after Saturday, my answer was nothing. We learned nothing because we knew they were going to take chances. We know they have awesome talent. We already knew all this going in. So nothing was really learned in my mind. We already knew all that.
Right, but now we saw it on display.
Right. So the only thing was now we got to see it.
Right.
And now we saw it. So that's the thing that I liked about it. You know, we knew they had the talent. We knew they were going to take chances. We knew they were going to take the shots. We knew they have Young Bucks. We knew about Cody. We knew all that already.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, now it's time to do it.
Right.
And I'm glad they did it. So they got to lead into it. They did it all right.
That was, I mean, I was burned out at the end of the night because every match, start to finish, I was in for.
Was it better than last year's big event?
All In? Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I think it was. It was more compelling. There was a little bit more of a build. They had a little bit more televised of a build for this, because I started following All Elite Wrestling after All In. Or when they announced it,
Right.
So I was more tuned in to a lot. I mean, I knew All In was coming in. I was just excited for it just because it was something fresh and new. But I think that they had the money and the opportunity to put together a better show than they were able to do for All In.
Yeah, and I like that what made it different was now that we had a company, All In, it was just kind of everyone showing up and doing whatever.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, now let's see who's on the roster. And obviously the big ending with Jon Moxley. You had said earlier off air you have not heard the Talk Is Jericho podcast?
No, I have not. I just caught little snippets of what I read on the quote-unquote dirt sheets, him ripping the creative process of the prison, if you will.
That's putting it nicely. And by the way, the prison was his little video he posted on Twitter.
$8,000.
Yeah, that is definitely surprising. And I also like that he filmed it, while still under contract 2 months ago.
Yeah, apparently he was thinking about leaving WWE even before there was an AEW.
Yeah, again, cheap plug, 411mania.com. I wrote about the podcast. I wrote a whole column just about the podcast. And July 2018, he says, I pretty much knew I was gone.
Wow.
That's the quote. And if you remember the timeline, that's right before he came back to be in Seth Rollins' corner at SummerSlam.
Right. The triceps injury.
And then that was to battle off Drew McIntyre and Dolph over the IC title. So basically he had met with Vince in February before he had the setback in his injury.
Right.
And he pretty much said, I want to come back heel. And then months later, when he was officially coming back and no more complications, no more setbacks, nothing, they had pretty much told him, yeah, you're going to come back. They're going to do a little thing with the Shield. And he said that's the most predictable. That's what everyone's expecting.
Right.
Fans are expecting me to help out Rollins now. And it was pretty much not anything that him and Vince had talked about months earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like, okay, I guess we're just going to do what you want and nothing that I had just talked about. And yeah, right when he came back, he already knew. And so the big story is months later when he did eventually turn. If you remember the Raw in Milwaukee, he specifically mentioned this Raw that everyone just said was the worst Raw of all time.
And we were there for it.
The biggest garbage ever. Well, I know I was there. I don't know if you were there, but it was just the worst show ever. And he was getting like vaccination shots or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Now, I don't remember the promo that he was talking about. But
well, anyways, he said he showed up that day and immediately got a text from one of the writers. And, it was just a normal Monday of, okay, what am I doing tonight?
Right.
And he told them. And then he pretty much wrote back. I forgot I'm going to try to look up the exact quote, but it was pretty.
You might want to censor yourself. If I recall, there was some language.
No, he texted back 3 words. I hate that.
Yeah.
And then the writer wrote back like, yeah, I know. Or something like.
Yeah, right?
Like, yeah, I agree. And then when he got there and Vince, told him it'd be hilarious and it'd be great. You're going to get shots. Everyone's stinky and they're catching cooties or whatever. And he said in his head he was going to walk out of the company that day.
Right. Yeah, I did read that part.
And unlike CM Punk, he kind of,
he stuck it out.
He stuck it out and eventually had told Vince before they aired it and said, this is what you're giving me. I'm going to do the best job I can and I'm going to give you the best character I can.
Yep.
I'm going to do it just for you. And in his head, he was thinking, this is the last time I'm saying this.
Yeah.
And this has been an ongoing battle. So he ended up doing it. And then, again, this goes back to the podcast. But, he did say a line about Roman Reigns' leukemia.
Right.
But apparently the following week, I think it was, or something, they tried talking him into saying something much worse that he would not repeat on the podcast.
Right. I remember that.
And
that's what I read too.
That's when he finally put his foot down and was just like, no. And then Vince was like, well, Roman's part of the story. Roman's part of it. It's not just saying it. But then eventually he did say, if you're not comfortable saying it, then don't say it.
Right.
And
I know that they wanted to do a big promo before when Seth Rollins won the Rumble and he made his decision of who he's going to face at WrestleMania. And Dean was supposed to come out and do some big, the Shield, blah, 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 blah. And all he did, he came out there and he was like, slay the beast.
Slay the beast. I love that.
And that was all he needed to say.
That was when they put him against Nia Jax.
Right.
And in the podcast.
Started that whole...
In the podcast, he said they said it wasn't because he was leaving, but he felt it was.
Of course. I mean, WWE is petty like that.
The way he explained it was not in the script when they had the 10 or 12 people.
Okay.
And then slowly throughout the day, they whittle down to just the main three, Triple H, Vince, and then I can't remember, Ed Koskey, or one of the main writers.
Yeah.
And then when it was just down to those three, who were the only three that knew he was leaving, then they added in the Nia Jax thing. So It's like, oh, wait a minute. So the three that know I'm leaving, now suddenly I got to bump.
Now I got to do the embarrassing stuff.
Now I got to bump to Nia Jax. And I guess they were cool with it and they laughed about it and they were having fun. And Dean said, it was great and everything, but he kind of knew in the back of his mind, why.
Yeah.
And he had said...
Here we go.
Here we go. And another interesting part, he didn't want to announce it publicly or tell anyone because they kept trying to send him contracts.
Right.
He'd keep putting it off and yeah.
Right.
And he didn't want to mess up Rollins' Royal Rumble win.
Right.
So he kept it quiet, which I thought was cool.
That's kudos to him, absolutely.
Because if he says something, they might be like, well, now screw Rollins. And all.
Right. Well, to hurt you, we're going to hurt your friend.
Yeah, so eventually when they did talk about the contract, he eventually did just say, look, I'm not signing it.
Not signing.
And this was something I had been writing about since January. He was leaving. He was gone. He was done.
Can you imagine the state of mind or the mentality you have to be in to turn down that kind of offer?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, here's the funny part. He said they eventually sent it to his mailbox, the new contract, because at that point, they obviously now wanted him. And,
right.
And you know what he did?
What did he do?
He didn't even look at it.
He doesn't even know what his final offer was.
Nope. He says he didn't care how many zeros or anything.
Yeah.
He
He's
said
like, my house is paid off.
Yeah, he said his car's paid off, his house is paid off, his mom's house he paid off. And he says, if nothing else, me and Renee can get in an RV and travel the world the rest of our lives together happy.
Aww.
Which is very sweet, and I thought that was very nice. I gave that a little shout-out in the column. I thought that was very nice. And he says...
That's awesome for him.
And the exact quote he started out, I have it right here. It says, nothing but gratitude towards WWE. If nothing else, I've met my wife.
Yeah.
So if you get nothing else from it, and, he obviously did say his frustrations.
Right.
But you know what?
He had frustrations, but he made a ton of money. He got to do all the things that he wanted to do. He got to see the world several times over. Met his wife. I mean, yeah, you have issues, and that's why you grow and move on. You do what you do in the place that you're at, and you get as much from that as you can and do the best job that you can. And then if it's just not working for you, or there's no growth, or you're just not happy there, then you better yourself. That's the whole point of life, is to see how much better we can actually do.
It's being better and all that, and obviously it's being happy.
Absolutely, you got to be happy.
He talked about even as the SmackDown Live when he was champion.
Yeah,
he wasn't. Well, the way it sounded, he wasn't happy.
Yeah, they were giving him crap.
Yeah, and
the
here's
same thing over and over.
Here's
again.
the quote: all this stuff, I can't say it. And this was after a writer had handed him a script for that day.
Yeah.
Pretty much said, go back and rewrite it. He went back, rewrote, gave it to him. He's just like, no, you don't understand. And then he said, at that point, either after a rewrite, if it's still not what he wants, then he goes and talks to Vince.
Right.
And then he gave him the same spiel. And, it just seemed to me, it kind of then tiptoed into the CM Punk territory where CM Punk was champ for a year and never happy. He fought The Rock. He wasn't happy. He didn't even want to face The Undertaker for the streak. It's like... and then there was a story today on, it's Thursday, May 30th right now, And there was a story online today that one of the writers is quoted as saying the dude's just never happy with anything.
Right.
So, it goes back to that. Was it just kind of the grind finally getting to him? I mean, again, he was champion on SmackDown, the number 1 pick in the draft.
Right.
And he's still not happy.
Still not happy. Well,
So,
he might have been checked out by that point, or falling out of sorts with like, okay, I'm not digging what's going on here.
yeah, they told him like talk about riding a unicycle backwards, and then Vince was like, "That's you. You're Dean Ambrose. That's why people love you. You do different
crazy
things,
stuff."
Yeah, and Dean was just like, "None of this is what I do."
You don't get it.
And then I think Dean even said, I think he looked at him and said, "So I'm an idiot." Then Vince was like, No, you're different. You're out there.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dean wasn't having any of it, but he said right away he knew he was playing out his contract.
Right.
He wasn't going to do anything stupid and ruin, Renee or make it uncomfortable.
Yeah, because, he did, for a minute there, he did hold a couple people's lives in his hands,
Yeah, he had a lot he could have done, especially when
Right.
they told him they're giving them the live mic with the Seth Rollins thing. And
Right.
he said he had some bullets in the chamber. And then he talked about, he gave a shout out and said, EC3 is a great talent, great guy, but, he shouldn't have been in that spot where he shouldn't have been in that spot where EC3 beat him one week and then Dean beat him the next.
Right.
And then
if you're gonna build up a star. Don't do this 50-50 garbage.
Yeah, and then he just talked about how he then was somewhat surprised that once Roman came back, they're like, we're gonna put the Shield and you're not gonna lose or you're gonna come back because if you remember, Drew McIntyre pretty much kicked him in the head that 1 week. And
yeah, that looked horrible.
And then he was back, and then they flew everyone out for the Shield whatever finale.
Oh yeah, yep, that one
the last hurrah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he said his payday. Did you see this part?
Mm-mm.
He said, "Well, they brought all this out in my final match that night for the Shield, and his payday was $500."
What?
And he's Jericho immediately came in, and he's like, "Yeah, that's Vince giving you one last jab."
Really?
And saying extras if local talent come in, whether they're used or not or destroyed in 5 seconds on TV,
right?
They get $500, whether they're used or not, just to come help and set up. And
wow, he was paid as a local.
So I guess he was the local
he was the
talent.
Barry Horowitz. Yeah, I think Barry Horowitz probably got more. He was on TV multiple times.
So regardless, he did. I think he even joked he didn't even know if he was going to cash it or not.
Right, just put it on your wall.
Just frame it. But
it's like that. There's a bar in Hollywood where if you have a residual or a royalty check for less than $1, you can bring it into this bar and get a free drink, and they take it and they put it up on their wall. They have like an entire wall covered of like 50 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents. For some Kenny Loggins record that you sang background vocals on that sold a copy last week, you get your like 5 cents or whatever.
I think Jericho one week, not 1 week, it was on a DVD. He was talking about how dysfunctional WCW was.
Right.
And I think he said he once got a royalty check for $0.00.
Yep.
And then he said he once got like a FedEx overnight or something and opened it and nothing was inside. And it's just like nobody knew what was going on. But anyways, to kind of wrap up the Jon Moxley section of this, they didn't bury him, quote unquote. On his way out, he did eventually.
They could have done worse.
They could have. The Nia Jax thing, they didn't. The EC3 thing, they didn't. Drew McIntyre, they didn't. And he kind of hinted that it was because Roman Reigns came back.
Yeah.
So then they're like, well, we need to milk the Shield for one last month.
Right.
Now, if Roman didn't come back, maybe, but he was left off WrestleMania and, so that stuff. But either way, he's in AEW now. So
and, everybody's happy.
He says he's super happy. And
the Mox.
Yes. So I wish him well. I hope he does great.
Absolutely.
He's refreshed. I don't think it'll be a full-time, however much they tape and all that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, until then, he's going to run some shows, and then in the fall, we'll kind of see how that goes.
I really liked that GIF that I saw after Double or Nothing where it was it showed a picture of Cody's release from WWE. WWE has come to terms on the contract of Cody Rhodes. We wish him best on his future endeavors. And then the caption was, be careful what you wish for.
Whoa! I hope they are being careful. But
it's pretty cool.
Any final thoughts on AEW as a whole before we move on to our
I'm excited for more. I don't know how many pay-per-views I'll order or be able to order, but I'm tuning in the fall.
Yeah, is the next Fighter Fest? Is that like on the app or Fight TV or something?
Yeah, I think it's on Fight TV. It's not a pay-per-view.
Okay.
And then the next pay-per-view I think is All Out.
All Out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll. I think Jericho already hinted that that's when he's going to face Hangman Page, but that's not official.
Right.
So.
Yep.
That makes sense.
No, I'm excited, and it's going to be really cool.
All right, we're gonna quick preview NXT Takeover 25. I think that's what they're calling it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bring me along on this one because
I will bring you along.
When is it? I don't even know what's going on.
Well, it's this Saturday.
Again, I haven't watched any WWE and no programming, so I mean, I'm still kind of
it's gonna be the I believe, except the Arrival NXT live show when the network debuted.
Right.
I believe this is the first takeover
without something to support it. Right. It's a standalone.
So Triple H said, yeah, it does kind of feel a little bit separate, but that just means they have to deliver all that much more.
Absolutely.
And apparently ticket sales are doing well. They should expect a sellout, which I kind of worried about. Like, well, how is it going to be? Are people going to pay, to come there when there's not a Sunday pay-per-view?
Well, they did before, so.
That's true, but before getting to the first match, I suppose I should throw in a plug here.
Well, first off, where is it?
Where is it?
Yeah, where is the takeover? Where are they?
It's in Connecticut. They kind of wanted to stick to the home base.
And when? What day?
June 1st, Saturday.
Okay, so it's this coming.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
All right, you are listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the 411 Podcasting Network. You know where to find us: Stitcher, Apple, iTunes, all that good stuff. YouTube, of course. 411mania.com is the site. Give us those 5-star reviews on iTunes. Mr. Steve Madsen, the Resonant Complex, tell us about it.
Hey, we got the Resonant Complex. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere music is sold. You can find our debut album, North Avenue, available now for purchase for your listening pleasure.
Absolutely. Speaking of pleasure, I think this match is going to be a pleasure. Matt Riddle versus Roderick Strong.
Oh, now what's this? Now, is there a storyline? Like, has the Undisputed Era been taking on Riddle, or
pretty much?
Okay,
and this continues kind of the tease that Undisputed Era's kind of been breaking up.
Right,
but
Roddy and Adam Cole are having an issue.
They're having a little bit of an issue, but I think they may it's all kind of a ruse, kind of and we'll get to the NXT Tag Team because we need a tag team champion now that the War Viking Raider experience is gone.
Where are they?
2 weeks in a row they're not on.
Right.
And still no Leo Rush, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Who has an independent show this weekend, which is a little weird, but regardless, we don't really care about that.
And desist.
So I'm going to say Matt Riddle wins.
I could see that. I think I think Riddle's going to win, and they're just going to continue on with the story of Roddy.
Yeah, Matt Riddle has lost. He lost to The Dream, so he's not undefeated, which I actually like that finish.
I thought that was a great finish. That was a great match.
It's a great finish, so they can always go back to it. So I'm going to say Matt Riddle wins, and it would not surprise me. You can write this down if you want. Would not surprise me if he is next in the SummerSlam weekend title feud.
For NXT? Yeah. I mean, he's putting in the time. He's getting the matches under his belt, and he's being a full-time star.
Yeah, he's one of those where kind of like Nakamura and Kevin Owens and Bobby Roode, I'm not sure how long he's necessarily going to be in NXT.
Right.
Kind of feels like he's going to do a few feuds, a title, and then after that,
Is he still wearing slippers to the ring or sandals?
Isn't that great when he flips them off?
That is funny.
I always love it. All right, so up next is the North American Championship. Speaking of the Velveteen Dream.
Velveteen Dream.
And who is his opponent? None other than the returning Tyler Breeze.
Oh, yeah, I read this. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. He asked to get moved back to NXT, didn't he?
The NXT crowd loves him. Triple H said, yes, he is a part of NXT, so if anyone's kind of wondering. So I guess it sucks for Fandango, but I don't really care for them anyways.
I thought they were funny, but as far as like a competition, a wrestling base, I thought he did so much better in NXT.
Yeah, and this is something that we'd kind of, wanted in the Superstar shakeup is, some guys can go to NXT.
Right.
And they do better there.
Yeah, I think he's going to do fantastic. I mean, I was excited when he went to the main roster, and they just kind of bungled it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember he beat Dolph Ziggler in his first feud.
Yeah.
And then a whole lot of nothing, and then he was in the Fashion Files Police or whatever it's called.
Fashion Police. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's not going to do much on the main roster.
Right.
So, as long as, my one caveat is, as long as his pay didn't get knocked down, I assume it didn't. So
Right.
as long as they're not, well, you want to go to NXT, well, now you're paid.
Now you're paid less.
So I assume that's not, but you never know. So I would assume he's still at the main roster pay.
Being at NXT though, that's still, compared to you or me, that's still a nice check.
Absolutely it is. But yeah, for Tyler Breeze, if he wants to, kind of show what he can do, and he's
Right.
already saying he's got a point to prove this Saturday night, again, he's not going to do anything on the main roster. So I think actually a few more guys could kind of be
I could almost see Tyler Breeze going over on that one just because they moved him back, and it'd be a good little feud. Maybe get Velveteen to be the first ever 2-time North American champion.
I was just going to ask you, is Breeze going to win?
It'll be interesting. I honestly don't have a prediction because I love them both, especially the stuff that I saw Tyler Breeze do in NXT was I love those matches. I mean, he was always a threat. You always had these moves that when you saw him, you're like, gotta watch out for that. And Velveteen Dream is just one of the most compelling characters I've ever seen in my 30 years of watching.
Yeah, I know the NXT crowd in Florida loves him. I'm hoping the Connecticut crowd also loves him. That's not really a NXT country kind of,
Right.
crowd. That's more of WWE's territory. But I'm going to go with the Dream just because I'm not sure how full-time Breeze is in NXT.
Right.
So I'm going to say the Dream wins, and, this card, as usual for NXT, is pretty stacked with their 5 matches that are all going to deliver.
Absolutely.
This may be match of the night, and I assume they'll both have cool entrances. They'll bring it out, and it'll be awesome.
You think he's going to bring the phone back? I mean, he almost has to, right?
The selfie stick, the whole NXT 25, it feels like almost a celebration type thing. Like Triple H said, I can't even believe we're at 25 already. And it's on its own, so that's all cool. So if anything steals the show, Dream and Breeze, as long as the crowd is hot. That's my only concern.
That's the big thing.
All right, so now we got to crown new NXT Tag Team Champions because
yes, we do.
These Vikings are disappeared on Raw.
They left. They must have got lost at sea or something.
I mean, Heavy Machinery is getting time now on SmackDown. And
Ducky, yeah, pretty lady.
yeah, Otis and Daniel Bryan going back and forth on the mic might be interesting, but
right.
It's going to be a ladder match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Champion, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who they've shown they can bust out some stuff.
Yeah, I remember when I used to watch NXT religiously, Oney Lorcan was just starting to come up and find himself, and pretty awesome. That's cool.
Versus the Street Profits, who honestly probably should have just beat the Viking Raiders when they had their match a few weeks ago, and then they had a non-finish, and then Viking Raiders laid the titles down, which didn't make much sense. But Triple H said, every incident is different. Asuka didn't lose her title. So
neither did Paige.
Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish versus, I almost forgot about them, the Forgotten Sons.
Oh, yeah. Who?
The Forgotten Sons.
Blake and his crew.
Steve Cutler.
Yeah.
So, who do you think takes it? I already hinted at it earlier, but I'm going to guess Undisputed Era kind of come back together. And
now, would this be their second run? Or how many?
Second, I think they lost it. They lost it for like a week. Was it to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch? I'm pretty sure they lost the titles for like a week to somebody and got them right back.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was them. But regardless, I'm going to say, Street Profits finally on an NXT TakeOver card, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But
is that Angelo Dawkins?
Yeah, and Montez Ford was married to Bianca Belair.
Oh, how about that?
Yes. So I'm going to say the Undisputed Era. I hope the Forgotten Sons is not something they are sinking their teeth into. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch are probably just in there to do ridiculous moves. And
they're going to be
fly around.
They're going to be the whipping boys
for the ladders.
Right.
Street Profits have gotten the most attention on TV, and they've actually been the ones feuding over the titles and saying they got to prove it to William Regal and to everyone that's been doubting them.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to go with Undisputed Era.
I think I'm going to take Street Profits just to be a thorn in the side,
No thorn at all. I think they
it'd be a good story, you're chasing, finally climb the ladder and grab that brass ring, baby.
Yeah, they've been chasing forever, and
Undisputed Era has always been in the picture for so long. You know?
They'll be there regardless.
Right.
So they're one of those that may not necessarily need the titles.
Right.
So either way, it's a ladder match. It's NXT, so it's going to deliver.
It's going to be fantastic.
All right, speaking of delivering, up next is NXT Women's Championship. This is a one-on-one match. Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai.
Ooh, and question is, who has the momentum, right? Like who stood tall at the last
I
build-up.
think Shayna has been doing it. Shayna and her goon squad,
And that kind of leads me to believe that Io's going to pull it out.
Really?
Yeah, I could see that they want to maybe move Shayna to better pastures if they could.
Main roster, are you saying?
Potentially. I mean,
More wild card rule?
yeah, right. Yeah, but does that apply to NXT?
I don't know. Triple H was asked about if the 24/7 title could be. First of all, I thought it was only the third hour of Raw,
Right.
and that didn't last.
There's a humor site that kind of pokes fun at WWE programming whenever it's on. It said it took us a full week to completely disregard the rules of the 24/7 title.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun at times, but whatever. I'm sure Carmella will turn on him at some point. I'm going to go with Baszler.
Yeah.
I think she just kind of dominates NXT for a while, and she picks up the win. Io Shirai, I'm not sure where she would go from here, so I'm sure the match will be fine.
Yeah.
And do you have anybody that Baszler could maybe face after this? Bianca Belair again?
I mean, she could. There's that, or I'm not 100% familiar with the current NXT roster. It's been a little bit. I regrettably have kind of fallen off the WWE wagon for a minute.
Well, that's okay because an NXT Takeover event will deliver.
We'll deliver, and I'll watch. Absolutely, I will.
All right, so then we got our main event again. Nice 5-match card, which is how it should be.
Right.
Johnny Gargano
Ooh.
defending against Adam Cole, baby.
Oh, Adam Cole.
And I believe their last match, everyone gave like 5 stars.
Yeah,
so
that was incredible.
the question is, though, is this just kind of a rematch to get the rematch out of the way, or is it something else?
Well, I mean, I could see Adam. I mean, I think he's
Undisputed
due.
Era titles.
He's due. That would be cool. That's a story that hasn't been told yet. Is a stable holding a lot of gold.
That is true, and they keep kind of hinting at it, and then they just keep infighting.
Right. So I don't know. It'll be. I think it's going to be. I'd like to see Adam Cole take it. I mean, I love Johnny Gargano. I think he's awesome, but I think he, the NXT title is almost like a very short-lived reign. Like that is meant to put you in the spotlight for a little bit, and then you move on to better pastures. Or
Yeah, I know Baylor held it forever, and usually, when you lose it, that's kind of your last, step before the main roster.
Right.
But after Gargano, the way that they kind of sort of didn't call him up,
yeah,
earlier in the year, obviously with Tommaso Ciampa, I would assume Gargano kind of sticks around for a while.
right.
And that's why I am picking Johnny Gargano to win. Undisputed Era, keep kind of talking the talk, but then don't really walk the walk.
Right.
So I'm gonna pick Gargano, but I'm gonna say the match, it has obviously the potential to even top their previous match when the title was vacant.
Right. Oh yeah.
So
I mean, every match has. Every time that Gargano and Adam Cole step in the ring, it's going to be a classic. It's just sparks fly.
I think it's going to be a great match. It wouldn't be surprising if they added like a Kushida or something extra on this match for a few minutes.
That would be cool.
And as usual, you always kind of wonder who's going to be sitting front row as the new
Right.
signee. And, because I'm sure they'll sign somebody. And they signed pretty much everyone else. So.
Babatunde.
Hey, bring him up.
That guy's got a vertical jump, apparently.
Does he?
Apparently. They showed him doing
More than I
something.
got. I got nothing.
Weren't
So
you a basketball player?
I was a basketball player. I shot threes. I didn't jump. Speaking of basketball, the NBA Finals is starting in a few minutes. So
No, it's not.
Raptors.
They ended a long time ago.
Last week with the Bucks, they ended. Yeah, that's too bad. Oh well. Another
Maybe
year.
sometime in my life.
Hey, Brewers lost in the NLCS. Game 7, one away
I
from the
know.
World Series, and now the Bucks were up 2-0 in the series,
Yeah.
and then lost 4 straight.
Welcome to Wisconsin sports, where we build your dreams up and your hopes, and we get you to a point where they might just do it. And then we tank it and crash it and leave you feeling like a hopeless piece of regret.
And Aaron Rodgers can't even chug a beer. And that's our quarterback for the Packers.
That's
this
our
season.
quarterback.
All right, I think that's where we should end it. So I'm going to
I agree.
throw in some quick plugs. Obviously, you're listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast. It's the 411 Podcasting Network, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. You know where to find us. You know all that stuff. 5-star reviews. 5 stars only. We are looking for 5-star reviews on Apple iTunes. Mr. Steve Madsen of the Resonant Complex.
Hey, like I said, we got the Resonant Complex. Our debut album, North Avenue, is available everywhere music is sold. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you can find it. Just search the Resonant Complex and you will find the famous album, North Avenue.
Ha, indeed. It is awesome. Speaking of awesome, we're going to listen to some Resonant Complex in 3, 2, 1.
My heart racing faster than the speed of light, and in your eyes I see the stars tonight.